Hello, Coolman229 here with another Topic of the Week video. This week I'll be discussing Doctor Who, more specifically the two showrunners who have handled the modern era of Doctor Who, Russel T. Davies and Steven Moffat. This topic was submitted by Tumblr Anon, and their topic is: Russel T. Davies and Moffat both have good and bad points in what they created with Doctor Who. Picking it out based on overall plot, writing, and characters, what went well and what fell flat. So basically, little recap if you're not familiar. Doctor Who was rebooted. It's not rebooted. It's still a continuation of the old canon, but it was revived. The revival. That's a good word for it. It was revived in 2005 with Christopher Eccleston picking up as the 9th Doctor. And then we had David Tennant as the 10th Doctor, and then after that, then we had the switch off from Russel T. Davies to Steven Moffat being showrunners, and you had Matt Smith taking on as the 11th Doctor. Now, I'm mainly going to be talking about all the seasons up through the 11th Doctor's run. So pretty much up till the 50th anniversary, and then the episode out, and then up to the episode when he regenerates. I watched a couple episodes of the 12th Doctor's run, but not gonna lie, I wasn't able to get into Capaldi's Doctor. I'll get around to catching up on that sometimes. But I've seen most of the new Who. In fact, I rewatched it a couple years ago. But I have seen it all. I have seen it all, and I actually did start watching it back in 2005. My dad was an old school Whovian, and he decided, Doctor Who, it's coming on. You gotta watch it with me. I'm like, cool. And then that's how I got into Doctor Who. Now, talking about the writers. The show started off being the showrunner was Russel T. Davies. And important note, Steven Moffat did work on the show at the time. He wrote several well-known episodes, but that's besides the point. I just wanted to say that, because Steven Moffat did work on the show and he did have a lot of experience with Doctor Who. Anyway, comparing from their overall plots. So, in terms of overall plots, I have to, at least from what I remember, I have to give this to Moffat. Moffat handled it so much better. When you're watching the old series, the seasons 1 through, what was it? Series 1 through 4, I believe, yes. The first season was the 9th Doctor. The next 3 seasons were 10, and then the next 4 seasons were 11. Trying to remember all the details. I haven't actually watched Doctor Who recently, but I do love Doctor Who. But I remember when I started watching, especially when you got to the season finale for the 11's first season, and you get the season finales, and each season, overall plot for those seasons, I loved so much more, especially the one with the hole in the galaxy, or the tear in the universe, or the crack, and that was relevant throughout the entire season. And everything was being referenced, and I felt like overall the story arcs were a lot stronger in terms of overall plot. With Russel T. Davies, I kind of felt like they didn't do that as much. I mean, I'd have to go back and rewatch all of the new series, but I think I remember Bad Wolf from the first season and how that was stuff, which, funnily enough, I remember that that was a key plot element in the 50th anniversary. But I just don't really remember there being as much plotting in the Tennant seasons. Not that they weren't good, but I mean, I remember some big ones. I remember the Master coming back, and I remember the end of time, and I remember all that stuff. But I'm trying to remember. I can't remember any actual long-term story arcs that would have been going on, at least across the season. A lot of it just kind of would pop up and be like, okay, this is a big deal now. Because I remember when I was first watching 11's run, and I was actually surprised. Like, I love David Tennant. I love the 10th Doctor. I think everyone did. But I was really surprised by 11 and the new season. And I just kept feeling like, wow, this feels a lot more connected. I feel like where things are connecting more in this. And, as things happen. But, yeah, I just really liked how Moffat handled it. And Moffat always has that touch when it comes to those stories. In terms of, let's see, that might be with characters, but I do feel like the plotting got a little more loose by the time it got to the 11's last season. Again, not that it wasn't bad, especially when you had fantastic lead-ups like going into the name of the Doctor. But it kind of felt like, they'd 11 had kind of run his course, so you just kind of started getting a little... It wasn't nearly as coherent as it went on. And if that's one thing I have to give Russell T Davies, they stopped... 10 had 3 seasons. Though, 10's issue was that his character revolved entirely around angsting after Rose. Yeah. Overall, though, I think I like the way Moffat writes the overall plot. In terms of direct writing, they're very stylistically different. And heck, I have to say, even watching the episodes with the 12th Doctor, that's still it had that similarities to 11's episodes, but it felt stylistically different. But even just 11 seasons, you felt like there was this significant difference in just... It's not even something I can explain. The lighting looked different. The writing felt different. The characters felt different. It felt livelier, if I have to give it a word to describe it. It still was just as cheesy, but in a lot of ways it didn't take itself nearly as seriously. Because I do think that might have been an issue sometimes with, the 10th Doctor, that sometimes it felt really serious. And I think that's the biggest problem, I think, eventually with 10, is that he got so angsty. And okay, I'm going to talk about the characters and writing, because it's kind of, especially when talking about the Doctor, it's kind of one and the same. One of the biggest problems with 10 seasons, and 9 was fine, he was in 1 season, he didn't really get to do anything too spectacular. But a problem with 10 is that he kept angsting, and sometimes it just got obnoxious. I mean, one of the big things that Russell T Davies did when they were, in Russell T Davies, revival, it established that the Doctor is the last Time Lord, and that the Time War wiped out all of them except him. So he's sitting around angsting all the time, and it's you can be sympathetic, but at some point you just sit there and there's just like angst and angst and angst and angst. And so when we got that breath of fresh air when Stephen Moffat came in with 11, and we had fun. We had Rory, and we had Amy, and the 11th Doctor, and I really felt like that was... I felt like that's what needed to happen, and I kind of felt like that was a necessary thing, because in some ways the Russell T Davies' run ended up just kind of getting bleak, especially with what happened to Donna, forcing her to... they had to forcibly erase her memories of the Doctor to keep her mind from basically exploding on itself. And it's just like... At the very least, he ended it with some good things, like having Mickey and Martha get married. That was one of my. It was random. Literally one scene. They had never interacted at all before this, and then in the end, it's basically wrapping up these ties of several number of characters. It's just Mickey and Martha. And they're just like, "Yep, we're married." And it's like, it's great. They deserve it. They were both treated like crap. Oh, yeah. I have to say, though, if you want to talk about structure, I think that's someone, other people have pointed this out, but Russell T Davies tended to have a lot of characters. There were a lot of characters in in his episodes, but in his run, there were still like smaller episodes, but sometimes you felt like there was more characters. And in Moffat, you felt like that it's a fairly more focused cast. It has fewer characters generally. I mean, if you see stuff like Silence in the Library, where there is a smaller cast of characters, you can definitely tell that Moffat does prefer that. Though, of course, a lot of times these characters become cannon fodder because everyone dies, and a lot of people die in Doctor Who. A lot of people die. But yeah, it's the cast difference is it feels like there are fewer characters in Moffat's seasons. But I feel like it takes that opportunity to kind of focus more in on those characters. You don't feel nearly as, because you spend more time with a smaller number of characters than you would with a larger cast of characters. But and I don't really think that either one is good or bad. In fact, I actually like a mix-up of those. Sometimes you have a number of characters in an episode, and sometimes you only have a handful. And mixes it up so it's not really feeling the same. But I'm just saying that I'm not really saying that it is a for or against either one of them. But you can definitely tell that that's where they kind of preferred their stories. And it's even weird, because I'm sure it's not even that many more characters, where you would have, 5 characters besides the Doctor and his companions. In a Moffat season, you'd have 8 or 10 in Russell T Davies, so it's really only a couple more, but I don't know, you just kind of feel it. It's like a feeling in my gut when I was watching Moffat seasons. I just had that, the cast felt smaller, and I'd have to go back, and I'd have to go and count, the cast list for each episode, but it's just something I always felt was a difference. Now, in terms of companions, talking about the characters, we had a bunch of good companions. I liked Rose at first. I liked her in the first couple seasons. When she started getting annoying is when after she got stuck in the alternate dimension and the Doctor started angsting about her. Oh, she was this great love, and it's just like, I lost Rose, and Rose wasn't that special. I don't ship the Rose and the Doctor. I don't. I kind of feel like that love story got overblown to all hell. Honestly, I'm glad River Song was introduced. And we see that, her romance with 11, and even that little bit in, when she's first introduced, is it Silence in the Library? It was a two-parter. Silence in the Library and, is it called Vasca Narada? I don't really remember. But anyway, it's like, and, you can see when she talks about, her relationship with the Doctor, and she basically says that she was in love with another incarnation of him, 11. But, yeah, I mean, Rose got kind of really it's funny because it was after she left that I started getting annoyed with her. And, if I go back and rewatch, series 1 and 2, I wouldn't mind her. It's just afterwards when 10 starts making such a big deal out of her. And right in front of Martha, and Martha obviously has feelings for the Doctor. She admitted as much. But then one of the reasons why I love Martha, and she's one of my favorite companions, is that she outright left the Doctor. And she was just like, it's like, I have the good sense to leave because you never gonna notice me. You're too busy angsting over Rose. And she left. And we also got Donna. Donna was great. I love that they didn't do anything romantic with Donna and the Doctor. I'm so glad. They were like those best friends, the Trolloc best friends, and it was great, honestly. I actually really liked that relationship. And she probably got one of the most tragic endings, unknowingly to her, where her memory of the Doctor had to be erased. So basically all the adventures she'd been on, she can't remember them. Which I thought that was extremely cruel. And it's really stupid that you're watching it, it's like, hey, let's just kind of make the entirety of Donna's run with the Doctor almost entirely pointless. Because she can't remember him. That felt like it was kind of crossing the line. Though Russel T. Davies and Stephen Moffat both did that. Holy crap. Amy and Rory, by far my favorite companions. I love them. Loved them so much. Which is why I skipped the episode where they died, especially since that episode was so stupid. It wasn't even a bad episode overall, it was good. In the last, 2 minutes, alright, hang up, no, they're dead now. It's like, especially since they had already established in, I think it was called Power of Three, it was the year of the slow invasion, when it's like, it was establishing that they were kind of getting ready to stop traveling with the Doctor, they were just going to settle down and stuff, they were done, and then it's like, nope, and then they go in there and die. I'm like, I don't get this idea that, torturing the Doctor by doing horrible things to the companions. I mean, Roy didn't deserve that. Donna didn't deserve it. It's like, there's a reason that, when I was rewatching Doctor Who, getting ready for I think it was getting ready for the 50th anniversary, there's a reason why, when I was watching, I only skipped 2 episodes in that entire time. One was The Water of Mars. I hate that episode. I hate it so freaking much. It's so overly dark and completely depressing. I don't care if it's trying to show, what happens when the Doctor loses himself, because I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. It was awful. And the other one I skipped was The Angels Take Manhattan. Specifically because Amy and Rory have such stupid deaths, and I just pretend, no, they quit after the Power of Three. Yeah, both of them had that one bum episode that I skipped. But at least just try to ignore. And I also Claire. I loved Claire. She was great. I honestly wasn't sure if I was going to like her, but turns out I actually did really like her, and I especially liked the completion of her, introductory character arc about, talking about her, why the Doctor keeps meeting Clarice all the time in all different points in history. I thought that was a really cool plot line. I'm trying to think if there's anything really more I can cover with this. Just taking a look at them overall, I don't think either one of them are good or bad. Both of them had some really great episodes, some really, really good stuff. Some of them had some stupid stuff. By my personal preference, I like Moffat's more. I just loved 11. 11 is my favorite Doctor, which I'm surprised that ended up happening, and I ended up cosplaying the 11th Doctor. But yeah, I just really, really enjoyed Moffat's seasons. I enjoyed them more, honestly. But if I had to say what both of them did wrong in their running of the show, I think Moffat's, where his fell flat, is that they ended up getting dark. For all the timey-wimey stuff that Russel T. Davies did, at the end, it started getting really dark, and it just felt... I mean, it just got grim by the end, and 10 had angsted so much, and by the end he was without a companion, and it just... it was... I was glad that we got back to more lighthearted stuff, and... excuse me. And where Moffat would have fallen flat, I guess. If I had to say something... I'm trying to remember the seasons. I would normally do research on it, rewatch the show, but that would be rewatching like 8 seasons, and I can't do that in a week. I mean, it's hard. Like I said, I enjoyed Moffat seasons when I'm trying to find something that fell flat. I mean, if I had to say anything, it's really the way that Rory and Amy went out. And, and I guess some of the stuff with the 12th Doctor, and I don't know, maybe that was just Capaldi. Maybe I just don't find him as interesting of an actor. But, or maybe it's weird because I actually really, really liked the Rogue Dialect episode. I really loved that. That might actually be one of my favorite episodes, Doctor Who, but I don't know. I mean, I did talk about how Russel T. Davies did the whole Time War thing, and that was actually expanded on more in what was it? The 50th anniversary. Was it the Day of the Doctor? Just a second. The Day of the Doctor. Yes, The Day of the Doctor was the titled 50th anniversary episode. The 50th anniversary episode, I thought was fantastic. Honestly, I'm surprised there are people who didn't like it. One thing, I actually have to say this real quick. One thing I absolutely loved about the 50th anniversary is the fact that they saved Gallifrey. Yeah, they saved it. They stuck it in a time warp, and a pocket dimension, I'm guessing. And, a lot of people complained, like, oh, that means that the Doctor's not the last Time Lord anymore. And when you think about it, at the time that was 2013. Wow. So it had been 3 years. But it had been 8 years real time, and then in universe, like 400, 500 years that the Doctor's been angsting over the loss of, Gallifrey and the Time Lords and it's like it finally gave him some hope about it, and I actually really like that because, I don't understand why a lot of people thought that was such an untouchable thing, and yeah, there was a fixed point, but it still happened, and the Doctor still believed he ended up destroying Gallifrey, but it ended that really grim aspect of the Doctor's backstory and gave some hope. But anyway, yeah. Comparing them, it's really hard because, despite the fact that it's the same show, you get two different writers. There are two different head writers, writing styles, and it bleeds into all the episodes, and it's kind of weird because I kind of thought I'd come out of this, more, favoring Moffat, but it's hard to say. Looking back, I can look at so many fantastic episodes that I liked in both series, from both writers, and it's hard to say either one is good or bad. I think it really comes down to preference. Honestly, Moffat gets a lot of undue hate. I mean, he's a misogynist, he's a homophobe. He probably kills babies and kicks puppies in his spare time, according to the Doctor Who fandom. But really, it comes down to personal preference on what you like from each writer, and each of them offers something different. So if you really, really favor Russel T Davies, you might not really like Moffat's as much, and if you really like Moffat's, then Russel T Davies might not be nearly as good for you. And I think that's kind of how I feel. I kind of prefer how Moffat handled things a little bit more. So I kind of like those seasons more. And like I said, it's a lot of personal preference. I can't say one thing's good or the other, because there's a lot of good and there's some stupid stuff from both writers. Well, I think I'm about done for today. If you want to watch last week's topic video, you can check that out here. If you want to watch next week's topic video, I'll put that up here when I get that done. If you want to submit a topic, you can go onto my Tumblr, or you can go on YouTube, comment below. If you comment below on YouTube, just make sure to say the topic you want me to talk about. And if you're on Tumblr, send me an ask and put topic : and then whatever topic you want me to talk about. Just make sure that you follow the rules that I will be posting below on both YouTube and Tumblr. And make sure that it's about something fictional, whether it be part of the story, or if it's on a more meta thing, like this. And make sure that it's not, a real world topic. Like, these aren't supposed to be getting into real world stuff, like serious stuff. But yeah, that's about it. I would like to say that I do need topics for the MCU. If you have topics to submit about, mostly I think criticisms of the MCU. Next month will be MCU month, and I only have one topic so far to do. I would really need some more. So please submit topics about the MCU for next month. Anyway, thank you for watching.